welcome to the session on Pythagoras. Pythagoras was born on the island of Samos, Greece, and died at Metapontum, Lucanium of Italy. His father, Nicarchus, was a gem merchant. His mother's name was Pythia. Pythagoras had 2 or 3 brothers. Some historians say that Pythagoras was married to a woman named Theno and had a daughter Damo and a son named Telegus, who succeeded Pythagoras as a teacher and possibly taught Empedocles. Others say that Theno was one of his students, not his wife, and say that Pythagoras never married and had no children. Pythagoras was a Greek philosopher, mathematician, and the founder of the Pythagorean Brotherhood that, although religious in nature, formulated principles that influenced the thought of Plato and Aristotle and contributed to the development of mathematics and Western rational philosophy. He founded a movement with religious, political, and philosophical aims known as Pythagoreanism. Pythagoras emigrated to the southern Italy about 532 BC, apparently escaped from Samos' tyrannical rule, and established his ethico-political academy at Croton, now Croton, Italy. It is difficult to distinguish Pythagoras' teachings from those of his disciples. None of his writings have survived, and Pythagoreans invariably supported their doctrines by indiscriminately citing their master's authority. Pythagoras, however, is generally credited with the theory of the functional significance of numbers in the objective world and in music. Other discoveries often attributed to him were probably developed only later by the Pythagorean school. More probably, the bulk of the intellectual tradition originating with Pythagoras himself belongs to mystical wisdom rather than to scientific scholarship. Teachings. Pythagoras is often referred to as the first pure mathematician. Pythagoras was well educated and he played the lyre throughout his lifetime, knew poetry and recited Homer. He was interested in mathematics, philosophy, astronomy and music and was greatly influenced by Pherecydes' philosophy, Thales' mathematics and astronomy, and Anaximander' philosophy, geometry. Pythagoras left Samos for Egypt in about 535 BC to study with the priests in the temples. Many of the practices of society he created later in Italy can be traced to the beliefs of Egyptian priests, such as the codes of secrecy, striving for purity, and a refusal to eat beans or to wear animal skins as clothing. 10 years later, when Persia invaded Egypt, Pythagoras was taken prisoner and sent to Babylon, now Iraq, where he met the Magoi priests who taught him sacred rites. Iamblichus, 250 to 330 AD, a Syrian philosopher, wrote about Pythagoras that he also reached the acme of perfection in arithmetic and music and the other mathematical sciences taught by the Babylonians. In 520 BC, Pythagoras, now a free man, left Babylon and returned to Samos and later began a school called Semicircle. His methods of teaching were not popular with the leaders of Samos, and their desire for him to become involved in politics did not appeal to him, so he left. Pythagoras settled in Crotona, a Greek colony in southern Italy, about 518 BC, and founded a philosophical and religious school where his many followers lived and worked. The Pythagoreans lived by rules of behavior, including when they spoke, what they wore, and what they ate. Pythagoras was the master of society, and the followers, both men and women who also lived there, were known as mathematikoi. They had no personal possessions and were vegetarians. Neither group of followers who lived apart from the school were allowed to have personal possessions and were not expected to be vegetarians. They all worked communally on discoveries and theories. Pythagoras believed that the reality is essentially mathematical in nature. Mathematics is the basis for everything, and geometry is the highest form of mathematical studies. The physical world can be understood through mathematics. The soul resides in the brain and is immortal. It moves from one being to another, sometimes from a human into an animal, through a series of reincarnations called transmigration until it becomes pure. Pythagoras believed that both mathematics and music could purify. Numbers have personalities, characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses. The world depends upon the interactions of opposites such as male and female, lightness and darkness, warm and cold, dry and moist, light and heavy, fast and slow. Certain symbols have a mystical significance. All members of society should observe strict loyalty and secrecy. Because of this strict secrecy among the members of society, they shared ideas and intellectual discoveries within the group and did not give individuals credit. It is difficult to be certain whether all the theorems attributed to Pythagoras were originally his or whether they came from the communal society of the Pythagoreans. Some students of Pythagoras eventually wrote down the theories, teachings, and discoveries of the group, but the Pythagoreans always gave credit to Pythagoras as the master for the theory of sum of the angles of a triangle is equal to 2 right angles. The theorem of Pythagoras: for a right angled triangle, the square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares on the other 2 sides. The Babylonians understood 1000 years earlier, but Pythagoras proved it. Constructing figures of a given area and geometrical algebra. For example, they solved various equations by geometrical means. The discovery of irrational numbers is attributed to the Pythagoreans, but seems unlikely to have been the idea of Pythagoras because it does not align with his philosophy. All things are numbers, since number to him meant the ratio of 2 whole numbers. The 5 regular solids are tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, icosahedron, dodecahedron. It is believed that Pythagoras knew how to construct the first 3 but not last 2. Pythagoras taught that Earth was a sphere in the center of the cosmos universe, that the planets, stars, and the universe were spherical because of the sphere was the most perfect solid figure. He also taught that the paths of the planets were circular. Pythagoras recognized that the morning star was the same as the evening star Venus. Pythagoras studied odd and even numbers, triangular numbers, and perfect numbers. Pythagoreans contributed to our understanding of angles, triangles, areas, proportion, polygons, and polyhedra. Pythagoras also related music to mathematics. He had long played the 7-string lyre and learned how harmonious the vibrating strings sounded when the lengths of the strings were proportional to whole numbers such as 2:1, 3:2, 4:3. Pythagoreans also realized that this knowledge could be applied to other musical instruments. The Pythagorean theorem is a cornerstone of mathematics. and continues to be so interesting to mathematicians that there were more than 400 different proofs of the theorem. Pythagoras wanted to improve the music of his day, which he believed was not harmonious enough and was too hectic. According to legend, he discovered that musical notes could be translated into mathematical equations by listening to blacksmiths at work. Pythagorean tuning is a system of musical tuning in which the frequency relationships of all intervals are based on the ratio 3:2, a stack of perfect fifths, a system which has been documented as long ago as 3500 BC in Babylonian texts, but which is nevertheless often attributed to Pythagoras. He also believed in the musica universalis, or the harmony of the spheres, the idea that the planets and stars moved according to mathematical equations which corresponded to musical notes, and this produced a kind of symphony. Central beliefs. The school that Pythagoras established at Croton was in some ways more of a secret brotherhood or monastery. It was based on his religious teachings and was highly concerned with the morality of society. Members were required to live ethically, love one another, share political beliefs, practice pacifism, and devote themselves to the mathematics of nature. They also abstained from meat, abjured personal property, and observed a rule of silence called echimethia, the breaking of which was punishable by death, based on the belief that if someone was in any doubt as to what to say, they should remain silent. Pythagoras saw his religious and scientific views as inseparably interconnected. He believed in the theory of metempsychosis, or the transmigration of the soul and its reincarnation again and again after death into the bodies of humans, animals, or vegetables until it became moral. He was one among the beginners to propose that the thought processes and the soul were located in the brain, not the heart. The central belief of Pythagoras was that the essence of being can be found in the form of numbers, and that it can be encountered through the study of mathematics. For instance, he believed that things like health relied on a stable proportion of elements, with too much or too little of one thing causing an imbalance that makes a person unhealthy. In mathematics, Pythagoras is commonly given credit for discovering what is now known as the Pythagorean theorem. A theorem in geometry states that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Although this had been known and utilized previously by the Babylonians and Indians, he is thought to have constructed the first proof. Pythagoras believed that the number system and the universe system was based on the sum of the numbers 1 to 4, and that odd numbers were masculine and even numbers were feminine. He discovered that the theory of mathematical proportions constructed from 3 to 5 geometrical solids, and also discovered square numbers and square roots. The discovery of the golden ratio is also usually attributed to Pythagoras, or possibly to his student Zeno. Pythagoras was one of the first to think that the earth was round, that all planets have an axis, and that all the planets travel around one central point. He also believed that the moon was another planet that he called a counter earth. Any responsible account of Pythagoras' philosophy must be based on the first place on the evidence prior to Aristotle, and in the second place on evidence that our sources explicitly identify as deriving from Aristotle's books on the Pythagoreans as well as from the books of his pupils such as Aristoxenus and Dicaearchus. There is general agreement as to what the pre-Aristotelian evidence is, although there are differences in interpretation of it. There is less agreement as to what should be included in Aristotle's, Dicaearchus and Aristoxenus' evidence. In the face of the Pythagorean question and the problems that arise even regarding the early sources, it is reasonable to wonder if we can say anything about Pythagoras. A minimalist might argue that the early evidence only allows us to conclude that Pythagoras was a historical figure who achieved fame for his wisdom, but that it is impossible to determine in what that wisdom consisted. We might say that he was interested in the fate of the soul and taught a way of life, but we can say nothing precise about the nature of that life or what he taught about the soul. There is some reason to believe, however, that something more than this can be said. The philosophy of Pythagoras. Pythagoras argued that there are three kinds of men, just as there are three classes of strangers who come to the Olympic Games. The lowest consists of those who come to buy and sell, and the next above them are those who come to compete. Best of all are those who simply come to look on. Men may be classified accordingly as lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. That seems to imply that doctrine of the tripartite soul, which is also attributed to the early Pythagoreans on good authority, though it is common now to ascribe it to Plato. There are, however, clear references to it before his time, and it agrees with much better with the general outlook of the Pythagoreans. The comparison of human life to a gathering like the games was often repeated in later days. Pythagoras also taught the doctrine of rebirth or transmigration, which we may have learned from the contemporary Orphics. Xenophanes made fun of him for pretending to recognize the voice of a departed friend in the howls of a beaten dog. Empedocles seems to be referring to him when he speaks of a man who could remember what happened 10 or 20 generations before. It was on this that the doctrine of recollection, which plays so great a part in Plato. The things we perceive with the senses, Plato argues, remind us of things we knew when the soul was out of the body and could perceive reality directly. There is more difficulty about the cosmology of Pythagoras. He started from the cosmological system of Anaximenes. Aristotle tells us that the Pythagoreans represented the world as inhaling air from the boundless mass outside it, and this air is identified with the unlimited. When, however, we come to the process by which things are developed out of the unlimited, we observe a great change. We hear nothing more of separating out or even of rarefaction and condensation. Instead of that, we have the theory that what gives form to the unlimited is the limit. That is the great contribution of Pythagoras to philosophy, and when we must try to understand it. Now, the function of the limit is usually illustrated from the arts of music and medicine, and we have seen how important these two arts were for Pythagoreans. So, it is natural to infer that the key to its meaning is to be found in them. It may be taken as certain as Pythagoras himself discovered the numerical ratios which determine the concordant intervals of the musical scale. Similar to musical intervals, in medicine there are opposites such as the hot and the cold, the wet and the dry, and it is the business of the physician to produce a proper blend of those in the human body. In a well-known passage of Plato's Phaedo, we are told by Simmias that the Pythagoreans held the body to be strung like an instrument to a certain pitch, hot and cold, wet and dry, taking the place of high and low in music. Music tuning and health are alike means to arise from the application of limit to the unlimited. It was natural for Pythagoras to look for something of the same kind in the world at large. Briefly stated, the doctrine of Pythagoras was that all things are numbers. In certain fundamental cases, the early Pythagoreans represented numbers and explained their properties by means of dots arranged in certain figures or patterns. Was Pythagoras a mathematician or cosmologist? In the modern world, Pythagoras is most of all famous as a mathematician because of the theorem named after him, and secondly as a cosmologist because of the striking view of a universe ascribed to him in the later tradition, in which the heavenly bodies produce the music of the spheres by their movements. Neither Plato nor Aristotle treats Pythagoras as having contributed to the development of pre-Socratic cosmology, although Aristotle in particular discussed the topic in some detail in the first book of the Metaphysics and elsewhere. Aristotle evidently knows of no cosmology of Pythagoras that antedates the cosmological system of the so-called Pythagoreans, which he dates to the middle of the 5th century and which is found in the fragments of Philolaus. There is also no mention of Pythagoras' work in geometry or of the Pythagorean theorem in the early evidence. Diascharchus comments that what he said to his associates no one can say reliably, but then identifies 4 doctrines that became well known: that the soul is immortal, that it transmigrates into other kinds of animals, that after certain intervals the things that have happened once happen again, so that nothing is completely new, that all animate beings belong to the same family. This for Diascharchus too is noted as a mathematician or pre-Socratic writer on nature that Pythagoras is famous. It might not be too surprising that Plato, Aristotle and Diascharchus do not mention Pythagoras' work in mathematics because they are not primarily dealing with the history of mathematics. On the other hand, Aristotle's pupil Eudemus did write a history of geometry in the 4th century, and what we find in Eudemus is very significant. Eudemus is reported as beginning with the Thales and an obscure figure named Mamercus. But the third person mentioned by Proclus in his report is Pythagoras, immediately before Anaxagoras. Even those who want to assign Pythagoras a larger role in early Greek mathematics recognize that most of us what Proclus says here cannot back to Eudemus. Thus, not only is Pythagoras not commonly known as a geometer in the time of Plato and Aristotle, but also the most authoritative history of early Greek geometry assigns him no role in the history of geometry and the overview preserved in Proclus. According to Proclus, Eudemus did report that two propositions which are later found in Euclid's Elements were discoveries of the Pythagoreans. Eudemus does not assign the discoveries to any specific Pythagorean, and they are hard to date. The discovery might be as early as Hippasus in the middle of the 5th century, who is associated with a group of Pythagoreans known as the mathematician, who arose after Pythagoras' death. The crucial point to note is that the Eudemus does not assign these discoveries to Pythagoras himself. The first Pythagorean whom we can confidently identify as an accomplished mathematician is Archytas in the late 5th and the first half of the 4th century. Now you can try to answer a few questions given here. What are the specific intellectual contributions of Pythagoras? Give a brief outline on the life sketch of Pythagoras. Which are the 5 regular solids according to Pythagoras? How Pythagoras is connected to music and mathematics. Narrates the mathematical elements of Pythagoras' philosophy. Critically analyze the Pythagoras' thoughts on music. What is the rationale behind the mathematical basis of Pythagorean thoughts? How Pythagoras perceiving human knowledge and wisdom. Hope that you may go through these reference books for further understanding. The Philosophers of Greece by R.S. Brumbaugh, Albany, New York, 1981. Pythagoras by M. Crazius, Bucharest, 1986. Pythagoras, A Life by P. Gorman, 1979. A History of Greek Mathematics, T. L. Heath, Oxford, 1931. Pythagoras, An Annotated Bibliography by L. E. Navier, New York, 1990. Thank you for watching this program. Hope that you have enjoyed this session. Have a nice day.